for television shows such as Full House and the historic Live Aid concert. He co-wrote the family comedy feature How to Beat a Bully with his writing partner Marilyn Anderson, and they also co-authored a novel. I think it's a comedy called Dishonor Thy Father, due out in October. I don't think it's comedy at all. And they are also currently working on a romantic comedy scheduled for production. So everyone, let's give a warm welcome to Richard Rossner.
I'm a creature of habit. I like to keep things consistent. So in order to keep the same old going, I tolerate things. And I am stunned at how much I will tolerate until I just can't take it anymore. Los Angeles, 1993. I was a television writer and had a few really great years writing situation comedies, variety shows, and the historic Live Aid concert. But series work stopped after ABC was hot to do a parenting variety special that my partner and I had pitched that they ended up not doing because sometimes that does happen in Hollywood. So we missed the staffing season. We parted our ways. I found a new partner. We wrote a couple of family screenplays that every studio was scrambling to do. So when they didn't do them, I had to scramble. I had been a story editor on Full House. During the season, it went from almost being canceled to the top 10 show. Bob Saget would be perfect for the lead in our movie. So I called him up, I sent it to him, and a week later, he told me that he thought it was a terrific script. But the lead character wasn't sympathetic until the very end, so he was afraid it might mess with his public persona. But hey, he loved my script. That was enough for me. Of course, it wasn't enough for my landlord. He wanted rent, not a compliment. So I had a wife and a 2-year-old son, so I had to find some kind of work. I saw an ad in Variety for a company called Tuxedo Tastes. And they needed people to deliver food from high-end restaurants to high-end neighborhoods. Now, it wasn't creative work, but the ad was in Variety, and it would pay me an hourly wage, and it might get me some high-end tips, which was a game changer in my mind. Now, as a city, Los Angeles was experiencing a Twilight Zone-ish period then. Weird things kept happening, and to say it was weird for Los Angeles, it had to be really weird. First, the Rodney King beating kicked off riots throughout the city. Then came the Malibu fires. Now, I remember watching a light drizzle of ash gently covering my car like the snow flurries I saw growing up in New Jersey. I was amazed at the thought that the ash of million-dollar homes was now covering my humble car in West Los Angeles. Then came the driving rains that pounded the now barren hills of Malibu, causing major mudslides and flooding. Things were happening faster and faster. It almost seemed biblical. Plague after plague. I was waiting for frogs, hail, and locusts. At least I had my job. I had to deliver dinner to people in their Brentwood, Bel Air, and Beverly Hills mansions, or they might starve. I tolerated riots, fires, rain, mud. I was getting so good at tolerating that I could tolerate the humiliation of being a delivery boy at age 42. Then I discovered the universe sends messages to help you make a change. And if you don't listen the first time, a second, more noticeable message will try to grab your attention, sometimes by the throat. I had a delivery one night to Victoria Hamill, the gorgeous star from the TV show Hill Street Blues. And as I was driving to her house, I remembered that her boyfriend, who was a hugely successful business guy, was also the son of one of my parents' dearest and oldest friends. They'd all grown up together, and now I was about to show up on his girlfriend's doorstep in the rain, wearing my black pants, starched shirt, cummerbund, and little black bow tie, hoping for a decent tip. How would I explain this to my parents when word got back to his parents, which would then surely get back to my parents, if he answered the door? Well, I didn't have to explain it to my parents because he didn't answer the door. A week or so later, the universe noticed that I hadn't picked up the message it sent me, so it hit redial. This time I had a delivery to a beautiful house near the top of Coldwater Canyon. I rang the doorbell, and when the door opened, the universe sucker punched me in the gut. I was standing in front of Gabe Kaplan. My first professional freelance job as a Hollywood writer was an episode of Welcome Back, Kotter. Bobby Hedges, who played Juan Epstein on Kotter, was an old friend from high school, and he had been begging me for months to come out here, so I came. And he brought me to several rehearsals. I met all the guys. And finally, Swine and Punishment, Season 3, Episode 13, was co-written by yours truly. Now, instead of handing Gabe Kaplan the script, I was handing him dinner. He didn't look at me, let alone recognize me. And he gave me a great tip, which made me feel even worse. I knew in that moment that if I had any hope of jump-starting my show business career, I couldn't be seen delivering linguine al frutte di mare anymore. I had to quit. When I got home that night, my wife, Rahla, saw that I had experienced a tectonic shift of some sort. I looked like a reject from The Walking Dead. She agreed that I had to quit that job. But I still tolerated Los Angeles. And it was killing me. I was living in the fishbowl of Hollywood with show business everywhere, with friends and colleagues who were working, but I was pressed up against the glass on the outside of the fun zone, watching everyone else living the dream. Then, the final biblical plague hit. The 1994 Northridge earthquake. It shook up more than my townhouse. It made our whole neighborhood look like a war zone. My soul went catatonic. I was frozen in mind, body, and spirit. My wife read a story in the LA Times about how the earthquake was causing people to experience symptoms of PTSD. The symptoms were confusion, indecision, loss of appetite, trouble sleeping, and unpredictable irritability. Now that could have been a normal day in show business, but mine was definitely the earthquake. FEMA had social workers set up all over the city to help anybody who was suffering. It was clear that I had 7 of the 5 symptoms. The earthquake turned me into an overachiever. The social worker I saw quickly figured out my problem. I know exactly what you need to do. You do? Yeah. You need to make a decision. Any decision. Just make one decision, and everything else will fall into place. I sat there for a long second. Then I felt like I was stepping out of a thick fog in the Malibu hills to see the bright, sparkling, shining Pacific Ocean. We're getting the hell out of this city. We're moving to Scottsdale. Rahla was thrilled that I was back in action and acting normally. Of course, she was humoring me about Scottsdale. She never thought we'd actually move. The earthquake was January 17th. May 9th, we were living in Scottsdale. Now, Scottsdale was truly fantastically hot. Rahla hates heat, so 9 years later we moved back to LA. But while we were there, we made incredible friends who didn't care if we were in show business or plumbing. We became homeowners. I not only wrote but produced industrial videos, and our company, The Power of Play, where we use improvisation and laughter to help people deal with challenges like cancer, became a viable business to help corporations. So, sometimes when enough is enough, it can be an unwelcome gift, forcing you to explore unimagined worlds that expand personal limits into limitless possibilities.